What a showdown at the Etihad. Manchester City and Brighton just delivered a roller coaster of a match, finishing 2-2 in a thriller that perfectly sums up City's rocky season. The reigning champs came into this one sitting in fifth, bouncing between wins and losses like a team that just can't find its rhythm. That shocking defeat to Nottingham Forest last time out only added to the growing concerns, especially at the back. City's defense has been leaky, conceding 40 goals already this season, the most they've ever shipped under Pep Guardiola. For a team with title ambitions, that's just not good enough. Brighton, though? They strutted into Manchester in red-hot form, 4 straight league wins and an FA Cup quarter-final spot in the bag. Fabian Hürzeler has these seagulls soaring, playing with confidence, swagger, and absolutely no fear of the so-called big boys. The team sheets threw up a few surprises. Guardiola rang the changes, 4 in total. The injured Ederson was replaced by Ortega, while Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Matheus Nunes made way for Marmoush, Gundogan, and Lewis. Brighton, meanwhile, kept things steady, making just one swap, Gomez in for Ayari in midfield. João Pedro, fresh off 3 straight games with a goal, led the line once again. And from the first whistle, Brighton meant business. They thought they had an early lead when Matoma bundled the ball home, but VR had other ideas, ruling that he'd knocked it out of Ortega's hands. A lucky break for City. That scare seemed to wake the hosts up, and within minutes, they had a penalty. Marmoush, full of energy, burst into the box, checked inside to shoot, and was wiped out by a desperate Webster tackle. The referee didn't hesitate. João Pedro's protests earned him a yellow, but the decision stood. Enter Erling Haaland. The big Norwegian stepped up, sent Verbruggen the wrong way, and slotted it home with ice-cold composure. That strike, his 100th Premier League goal involvement, the fastest player to ever hit that milestone. The man is a machine. City, now in control, knocked the ball around with confidence. But Brighton don't fold easily. In the 21st minute, they stunned the Etihad with a moment of magic. A free kick from 20 yards out, up-stepped Estupiñán, and boom, a gorgeous curler off the post and in. Ortega didn't even move. Silence in Manchester. Suddenly, the doubts crept back into City's play. Brighton smelled blood, and just before halftime, they almost grabbed another. A mix-up at the back gifted João Pedro a golden chance, but his shot whistled just wide. Before that, though, City had retaken the lead in style. Gundogan slid a pass to Marmoush, who let fly from distance, finding the bottom corner via the post. A stunning strike, and just like that, City were 2-1 up heading into the break. And that was just the first half. City went into halftime boasting 32 first-half goals in 29 games, more than any other team in the league. But the real question? Could they keep Brighton at bay, or would their defensive demons strike again? The Seagulls had already shown they weren't going down without a fight. Statistically, Brighton had more shots in the first half, but City edged the expected goals tally, 1.39 to 1.05. It was tight, it was tense, and you could just feel there were more fireworks ahead. And boom, just like that, Brighton made it 2-2 right after the restart. Rudder played in Minted down the right, forcing Gvardiol to turn his cross behind for a corner. What followed was pure chaos. Webster headed the ball back into the mix, Hinshelwood took a swing from close range, and the unlucky Kusanov deflected it into his own net. A gift for Brighton, and suddenly the Etihad got a whole lot quieter. That equalizer sent a jolt of nerves through City's ranks. Brighton nearly struck again moments later, when Gomez's low cross skidded through the 6-yard box, but Gvardiol did just enough to stop Minte from tapping it in. City's frustrations were on full display in the 50th minute when Savinho's sloppy pass handed Brighton another golden opportunity. Baleba latched onto it, took aim from the edge of the box, but dragged his shot wide. The warning signs were flashing for Guardiola's men. City did start seeing more of the ball, 59% possession since the restart, but Brighton held their shape, keeping the champions at arm's length. As the clock ticked toward the hour mark, it was anyone's game. Guardiola had seen enough. In the 58th minute, he yanked off Savinho, who had struggled all afternoon, and sent on Bernardo Silva to add some control. Moments later, Doku saw yellow for what the ref deemed a dive, despite him clearly leaping over Van Hecke's challenge. The Belgian had been one of City's livelier players, and he wasn't happy about the call. Then, in the 63rd minute, Marmoush almost doubled his tally. Breaking free of his marker, he went one-on-one with Verbruggen, only for the Brighton keeper to deny him with a sharp save. The flag went up for offside, but it was still a warning shot from City. Brighton fired right back. Baleba pinged a stunning diagonal ball into the box for Mitoma, who hit it first time toward the near post. Ortega reacted brilliantly, making a crucial stop to keep City level. The game nearly took a nasty turn in the 66th minute. Rutter caught Gvardiol with his studs, and though the referee initially gave just a foul, VR took a second look. After a brief review, no further action was taken. A lucky break for Rutter and Brighton. With 20 minutes to go, a fascinating stat emerged. Brighton had never won an away game against Manchester City. But if they could pull off a late winner, they'd make history with 5 straight top victories for the first time ever. The stakes couldn't have been higher. In the 74th minute, City had a huge scare. A loose ball fell to Van Hecke in the box, and the Brighton defender, who had been everywhere all game, tried to nod it goalward, only to send it harmlessly into the sky. A massive let-off for the hosts. Sensing an opportunity, Hürzeler rolled the dice. On came Ayari for Gomez, and, intriguingly, former Manchester United striker Danny Welbeck for Rutter. You could almost feel the script writing itself. Welbeck, with his Old Trafford past, stealing a late winner against City. The drama was far from over. Just a minute after those Brighton substitutions, a slight scare for City. Bernardo Silva picked up a knock and had to make way for Foden. And here's a stat for you. No team has felt Foden's wrath more than Brighton. He's bagged 8 Premier League goals against them. Could he make it 9 and be the game-changer City desperately needed? Then, in the 79th minute, Brighton's goal frame came to their rescue. Gundogan whipped in a teasing corner. Gonzalez rose high at the back post, and his thumping header crashed off the upright. He had to score from there. Another massive let-off for the visitors. This game was now pure end-to-end chaos. One moment, Brighton were hanging on for dear life. The next, they were storming forward. Hinshelwood, who had been excellent all game, burst into the box and fired a shot from a tight angle, only to hit the side netting. The young right-back was everywhere, defending with discipline and attacking with intent. And then came the moment Brighton fans will be losing sleep over. 82nd minute. A blistering counterattack. João Pedro's low cross from the left slipped through Diaz's legs and rolled perfectly into Baleba's path. With the goal at his mercy, all he had to do was keep his cool. Instead, he skied it. A golden chance for a famous Brighton win, wasted. Sensing an opportunity slipping away, Hürzeler rang the changes again. Mitoma off, Adingra on. Minte out, Gruda in. Fresh legs, fresh energy, one last push for a historic win. City responded in kind. Guardiola finally played his ace, sending on Kevin De Bruyne in the 86th minute for goalscorer Marmoush. A bit late, perhaps? The Belgian maestro could have been the difference, but Guardiola had waited, maybe too long, to unleash him. With Brighton making their own adjustments, Baleba, perhaps still haunted by that miss, made way for Weaver, who immediately made his presence felt, by picking up a yellow card in the 89th minute. 2 little tugs at Foden's shirt, and the referee wasn't having any of it. Then, as the clock hit 90, City nearly stole it. De Bruyne whipped in a wicked free kick, catching Gundogan off guard. The ball ricocheted off him and almost snuck past Verbruggen, but it whistled just wide of the post. The Etihad gasped. Brighton breathed. With 4 minutes added on, City threw everything forward. Doku, a menace all afternoon with his dribbling, had one final chance to deliver, but his cross sailed straight out of play. Guardiola's reaction on the sideline, pure frustration. The Belgian had been electric on the ball, but just couldn't find that killer final touch. Verbruggen, sensing the urgency, picked up a yellow card in the 91st minute. Classic time-wasting tactics as Brighton clung on for a valuable point in their European chase. And that was that. Manchester City 2, Brighton 2. A breathless, high-stakes battle that highlighted both teams' strengths and their flaws. For City, the defensive frailties are an ongoing nightmare. 40 goals conceded this season, the worst defensive record of Guardiola's reign. That's not title-winning form. That's not even Champions League security. Brighton, on the other hand, will feel mixed emotions. A fantastic point at the Etihad, yes, but what if Baleba had kept his cool? What if they'd made history? Still, their remarkable rise under Haaland continues, and they remain firmly in the European conversation. City stay in 5th, now just 1 point ahead of Brighton in 6th. And with West Ham, Newcastle, and Spurs all lurking, the battle for those precious European spots is heating up. City can't afford many more nights like this if they want Champions League football next season. Let's break it down. Who shined, who struggled, and who made the difference in this gripping battle at the Etihad? For Brighton, Van Hecke was an absolute rock at the back. The man was everywhere, blocking shots, cutting out passes, and keeping Haaland on a surprisingly short leash after that early penalty. He was drawn to the ball like a magnet and played a massive role in keeping City from running riot. Then there's Baleba, a mixed bag but an undeniable force. He covered every blade of grass, breaking up City's attacks and surging forward with real intent. That delicious diagonal ball to Mitoma in the second half? Chef's kiss. If he adds some composure in front of goal, especially after that miss, he's got the makings of a complete midfielder. And what about Estupiñán's free kick? Wow! A thunderbolt of pure quality. The Ecuadorian is no stranger to getting forward, but that goal was next level. If he keeps producing moments like that, Brighton's European dream might just become reality. For City, Marmoush was a live wire. His goal was ice cold, and his movement kept Brighton guessing. In a season where City have lacked consistency, he's been a welcome spark. Doku, meanwhile, was the ultimate tease. He had defenders on skates all game, but when it came to that final ball, yikes. His late cross that sailed into the stands summed up his afternoon. The talent is there, no doubt, but if he sharpens up his decision-making, he'll be a nightmare for any defense. And then there's Haaland. Business as usual, 1 chance, 1 goal. That's 100 Premier League goal involvements in record time. The guy is a machine, but even he will be frustrated that his strike wasn't enough to take all 3 points. One player who'll want to forget this match? Savinho. It just wasn't his day. Loose passes, poor decision-making, and that costly giveaway that almost handed Brighton the game. Hooked before the hour mark, and Guardiola's face said it all. Looking ahead, City's form is worrying. Win, loss, win, loss. If they keep flipping between hot and cold, they might just find themselves outside the Champions League spots. And for a club of their stature, that would be unthinkable. Brighton, on the other hand, will take huge confidence from this. They've beaten City at home, and now taken a point at the Etihad. A couple of years ago, that would have been a pipe dream. Now, it's just another step in their remarkable rise. A stat that says it all. City have already lost 3 times at home in the league this season. That's as many as they'd lost in the previous 3 campaigns combined. The Etihad isn't the fortress it once was, and teams are starting to smell blood. Another fun fact, Brighton love a comeback against City. Both of their previous Premier League wins over Guardiola's side came from behind. Only Manchester United, with 3, have managed more comeback victories against Pep in England. This Seagull squad simply refuses to quit. For City, one big question lingers. Why wasn't Kevin De Bruyne in from the start? Yes, maybe Guardiola was managing his fitness, but in a must-win game, you'd expect the Belgian playmaker to be pulling the strings from minute 1, not arriving in the dying stages. And what about Ederson's absence? Ortega did well, especially that crucial save from Mitoma, but you can't help but wonder if Ederson's pinpoint distribution could have helped City control the game better. For Brighton, the fact they're pulling off these performances without key players like Dunk, Veltman, and O'Reilly speaks volumes about their depth. Haaland has built a system where players slot in seamlessly. That's the hallmark of a top coach. Bottom line, this 2-2 draw tells the story of where both teams are right now. City still boast an embarrassment of attacking riches, but their defensive fragility is costing them. Brighton, meanwhile, are fearless, fluid, and tactically sharp. They're right in the hunt for Europe. As we hit the business end of the season, City simply cannot afford more slip-ups if they want Champions League football. For Brighton, any European spot would be a dream. And after today's performance, that dream is very much alive. This has been Across the Pitch. Over and out.